and examine, gotta take a rest. Waiting patient for the summer and now the waiting starts.
He's Blake. I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken podcast, back for another episode of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And today, Blake, we're talking 1984's Meatballs Part 2.
Now, Ronnie, when you told me that we're going to do a series of summer camp movies, the level of excitement was 10 out of 10. And then you made me watch Meatballs 2, and I got to tell you, my excitement level has dropped to about a 4 out of 10 now.
It took like 6 spots off.
Yeah, it took me 3 days to watch this. And if anybody out there struggling with sleep, Meatballs 2, Amazon Prime, it'll kill you in 20 minutes.
It's also, right now, it's free on YouTube as well. I didn't know that until afterwards. I can see, Blake, where you had a tough time watching this, and I can see where it's a struggle. It is really absurd, the entire movie. And if you're a big fan of the original Meatballs, and then you come into this one with no Bill Murray, and that's really the only person I know that's in the first one, you're probably like, what the hell am I watching? It's not the same camp. It's not anything. But there's a reason for that. This movie was originally called Call Me Meathead and was filmed under the title Summertime and was going to be put out. But the studio wanted a sequel to Meatballs 2, so they saw this. They bought the rights to this movie and slapped the name Meatballs 2 on it, even though it has nothing to do with the original Meatballs. Now, with all that being said, I've only seen Meatballs 1 like one time. I prefer Meatballs 2, Meatballs 1. I'm going to tell you that right now. I prefer Meatballs 3 to Meatballs 1. Now, maybe me and you, Blake, need to do a good and bad, the ugly of the original Meatballs. And if I sit down and have to actually pay attention and study and do notes on it for like we do for this show, then maybe I'll like it more. But right now, strictly nostalgia. I know there's no Bill Murray in part 2 or 3. Strictly nostalgia. Part 2 and part 3 are my Meatballs movies. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I love Meatballs 2. To start at the very beginning of the movie with that freaking song, been waiting for the summer. Everybody's on a school bus, and not even throw out there the fact that I'm so fascinated with summer camps from the 70s and 80s. The fact that parents let their kids get through with 9 months of school, and then boom, we're shipping your ass off to summer camp for either a month or a month and a half. You get back home right in time to get ready to go back to school. That's super fascinating to me, the alienation of the kids of all ages from the parents at all times back in the day. I would really, because they weren't that popular here in the South, Blake, I would really like to do just a whole episode where we look up actual summer camps where kids stayed for more than a month across the United States. The fact that you jump on a bus with all your luggage and you go to a camp where you're going to be away from your parents and with people probably that you don't know for the whole summer, there's something fascinating and horrifying about that at the same time.
You know, we talked about it. The camps are not really a big deal down here in the South. We have church camps, but I mean, it would be cool to look up like some of the more famous camps. And people who's watching this, comment down below. Did you go to summer camp? And if so, how was it? Was it as good as it's portrayed in the movies, or did you get molested?
Did they my camp? And it's
Summer camp was great. I got my played with.
I'm at a camp.
I got my summer camp, Ma. I hope that person was good. He was.
They tossed summer camp while I was trying to sleep. But summer on all right, cut the bull. Let's talk this movie. Oh, summer camp would have been fantastic. Like, can you imagine being with the people that never like shower, and y'all being bunked up with the slobs that didn't shower, and you have to spray their ass down when they sleep, or beat them like Private Pile from that movie? Just beat the piss out of them at all times. See, I grew up on Salute Your Shorts. So I'm just, I just figure all camps are that great. You got your own counselor named Ugly, who's constantly trying to keep you from getting in trouble. And when you do, he punishes you. And any point of the day, you can go play softball, baseball. You can go canoeing. You can jump on the blob like in heavyweights. So I don't know. Freaking summer camp. I love it. I love it. I love it. But Blake, I can see where you struggle to watch this movie because this movie focuses on it's like three different movies in one because you got the whole kids.
And these three movies, neither one of them have a plot or an ending.
Well, the Giddy movie, I would say, had an ending because look, Richard Mulligan is great in this movie. The guy from Camp Patton is great in this movie. John Larroquette is great in this movie. Even the Scott Baio kid is really good in this movie as the IROC. So, I mean, and then they throw in some semi-rated R stuff with Jamie and Fanny always trying to get somewhere to get it. Then you mix in the E.T. element because E.T. was big at the time with all the kids and the alien that gets dropped off at summer camp, the Jewish alien with the stereotypical Jewish voices. There's a lot of things.
Now, can you tell me can you give me an example of a stereotypical Jewish accent?
I can't do it. Let's see. God, I don't know what a stereotypical edit. I don't know what a stereotypical Jewish voice. Don't edit. I don't know.
Can I buy
Edit. I'm watching my edit.
All right, let me roll right into my good, Ronnie.
Boom, there we go.
It's gonna be Miss Fanny. Because anytime quit laughing, anytime you give me a team summer movie, specifically a summer camp movie, and you throw in a smoking hot blonde who is DTF 24/7, that's going to be the best part of the movie. I love that this little relationship that she's got with this counselor it has went back years. They talk about struggling to find a place to have sex the year before. It better not be like that this year. And then they already get off on the wrong foot. They're trying to have sex between the buses. It ain't working. They're trying to have sex in the woods. The alien spaceship lands. Trying to meet up in the dorm, in the cabins, and different people are swapped, and the different people go in each cabin. 80s comedy style. So yeah, Miss Fanny, gorgeous Miss Fanny is going to be my first good.
The whole Fanny and Jamie scenario where he's constantly like, I love them. Is Jamie supposed to be an adult or is he supposed to be a teen as well? Is Fanny supposed to be an adult? She's over all the younger counselors, so she's an adult. See, this is another thing I'm fascinated by. Jamie and Fanny, do they not live near each other? Wouldn't they have a relationship with each other by now? Or do they just meet up in the summer? Is she married? Is he married? Is it just a summer fling every time they go there? Or I don't understand. If they liked each other and wanted to hook up, wouldn't they be an item outside of the summer camp? Another thing that fascinates me about the summer camp before I get to my good, does Giddy only work 2 months a year? I mean, there was like 5 or 6 busloads of kids. How much do you think it costs to go to Camp Sasquatch?
About $400.
Okay, so for the entire summer, that's 2 months.
Yes.
So, well, that's crazy. So he probably had Giddy has to be working outside of the summer then, because there's no way that money, unless he owned that land, he could just live on that land free for the rest of the year. Like I said, that's fascinating to me, the whole business aspect of that. I'm sure most places it was teachers that would go and run these summer camps or people that had the summer off. I don't know. But my first good is the camp setting. I love the fact that it looks like almost the perfect camp. In most of these camp movies, the people complain that where they're staying is nasty or there's not enough this, the food's bad, any of that. The only time the food is mentioned is when Giddy grabs the fat guy and lets him know he wants some damn normal food this summer, something they can eat. But really, the kids in the camp never complained about having to be there. They complained about Fanny talking about Pinkies, but that was the only thing that they complained about. All these kids really loved being there, and that was just a fascination for me. And then to be completely honest, it looked like a great place to be. It really did. It didn't look like one of those structured camps where they make you do certain things throughout the course of the day. It looked like a camp where you could just go and hang out and have fun with your friends.
Yeah, and that was my next good is the scenery. I mean, anytime you get a good shot of the camp with the open land and the lakes and stuff like that, and the trails, yeah, it is a beautiful place. Like I should have done some research and looked up like where this took place at, but yeah, I agree with you 1,000%.
Filmed in Saugus, California. I don't know how to pronounce that. So unlike the first Meatballs, it was filmed in Canada. This one was filmed in California. My next good, Blake, is John Larroquette, who plays Lieutenant Felix.
Whoa, Marcel.
I probably should have said all the characters in this movie, but I'm going with John Larroquette, who is the gay sidekick to Colonel Batjack Hershey. And I'm really surprised we didn't get a Hershey Highway joke at some point in this movie. But John Larroquette is fantastic in this movie. Low key with the lisping whenever he gets excited.
What the goddamn hell is that, Foxglove?
Sounds like tambourines.
Did I hear a lisp? Impossible, sir. It's just us. You're sneaking up on us.
And when Batjack sent, because I guess we haven't brought up the fact that across from Camp Sasquatch is Camp Patton, which is like a military camp. And it's the camp that they go against at the end of the summer where they have Champ of the Lake, where they box each other. In the winter, I don't know what they get, but in this movie, the winner is going to get the rights to the lake. Because at one point early in the movie, we got a stereotypical Indian who sells the lake to Lieutenant Hershey, Colonel Hershey. So he goes across the way and he tells Giddy, he goes, "That's my lake. You get out of it." And Giddy is like, "What good is my camp without a lake?" Richard Mulligan, great in this movie, by the way. To counteract that, Giddy is on his toes, and the next day he has everybody dressed up like Hare Krishners, or what are they called? Harry Krishner. How do you say it? The guys in the row. Anyway, he acts like he's going to turn it into like a temple for a bunch of these weird religious people. So he tricks Hershey into putting up the lake rights versus his camp land rights in the Champ of the Lake, where they're going to box it out, winner takes all. So I thought he was good in that. Back to John Larroquette. Larroquette was great. There are certain scenes where Hershey is sending a few of the campers they have on a mission over there. And he's like, "You're the best troops I ever trained. If you get this, tomorrow we're having ice cream." And you see John Larroquette, he's like this right here. He's like happy behind him. And at the end of it, when they kidnap Flash and he has to escape Camp Patton to make it back over to Camp Sasquatch to do the boxing match, he is completely nude because whenever they kidnapped him, he was skinny dipping. And the only office that he can break into or get into is Felix's office. And he opens up the door of his office and there's nothing but dresses. When he comes walking in, he's wearing a black dress. So the whole ending of the movie is the Flash boxing Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds in a dress. And when he walks in, John Larroquette's like, "That's my dress." And the whole time that's going on, and even when the alien, when Meathead takes over and he's got the Flash flying around in the sky, Hershey's like, "You get out on the ground." And Larroquette's pointing, going, "Don't you rip that dress, buddy." Like I said, John Larroquette, it was probably a terrible way to explain it. John Larroquette is the MVP of this movie. He's great. He's the best actor in the movie. Him and Richard Mulligan are the two best things in the movie, and Richard Mulligan's not in it enough. But Larroquette stole the show. The list, the mannerisms, prancing around. When they're coming across on that boat and he's on the very back and he's got his hand on his hip like that, it's great. So John Larroquette, definitely the best of this movie.
How hot was Larroquette at this point? He's 3 years after the movie Stripes. I think Stripes was 81. And then he goes into this. So how hot was he actor-wise at this point?
I don't know how hot he was. I know he was into Night Court by this time. I don't think he was like everybody was just beating his door down to get him. I mean, we could IMDb it real quick, But I think he was just low-key bit player, getting ready to go into night court or just right into night court.
I did read that he had a few people from this movie on the John Larroquette show later on, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Anyway, Blake, let's get into the bad.
Now, this was tough category because there's a lot to choose from. I'm going to start off with the Alien, and I get why it's in there. I know you mentioned at the top, E.T. was big at the time. You know, you had all these alien movies coming out, all the space movies. So throw in an alien. My problem with this is there's no point to it. This alien does not change anybody's life. It doesn't help the kids out. It doesn't make the crippled kid walk again. He doesn't help evolve any of these characters, or the kids don't help evolve the alien. So, I mean, I just didn't see the point in it other than showing up and making Flash float at the end.
Yeah, that was really the only thing that Meathead did. They called the alien Meathead because one of the kids introduces themselves as Meathead, and he repeats it, so they think his name is Meathead.
Meathead, who are you?
Meathead.
But the only thing he does in this movie is he walks through a couple of walls, and they show off the bad graphics from the 80s. I will say this, though, Blake. I love all the sound effects. If you go back and watch it again, which I know you're not, all the sound effects that are with the alien when they land and and all that, I think are fantastic. I wish I could get them for the board right here. But the only thing the alien does that comes close to adding to the plot is he puts the red eyes on Flash at the end of it. Flash is fighting for the Camp of the Lake. Flash has no shot at defeating Ogre in the boxing ring. He is getting murdered. And Meathead uses his ability to float up Flash, and Flash is in the air like Peter Pan, swirling around, fighting Ogre. And the fact that the Flash is flying, it's shocking to no one. I mean, you think everybody would just be like, oh, wow, look at this right here. But instead, they're like clapping and it appears normal. That's really the only thing he did in this movie. And you're absolutely right. And I'm sorry to talk over you because one of my bads is the alien. Why an alien? I mean, I know the absurdity of it. The alien lands to go to Camp Sasquatch. But it really, I guess it was only a way to showcase the kids. Like I said, there was 3 storylines going on at once in here. You had the aliens and the kids. You had Flash, Carmine Falducci, or whatever his name is. At the very beginning of the movie, the cops pulled the bus over, and we didn't even talk about that. That's a really great scene at the beginning of this movie where they're all on the school bus. And I mean, it's kids of all ages, from ages 50 to ages 8. On this bus. If you check out the back of the bus, there's a chick that's in her mid-40s and they put pigtails on her to make her appear to be high school. And the cops pulled the bus over and they put this kid on here who's a troublemaker. And he ends up being the Scott Baio lookalike main character of the movie. He's trying to get Cheryl the entire point of the movie. But at the very beginning, when they're on the bus, they're trying to get everybody calmed down, or Jamie is. By the way, Blake, Jamie, the counselor that's always trying to get with Fanny, he was the voice of Meathead in the movie as well.
Really?
Yeah. So Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens is the bus driver in this movie. He's like the weirdo around camp. He works for the camp. I don't know what his official job is other than bus driver.
He played himself.
He gets up from the seat while he's driving and runs to the back of the bus and tells everybody to shut up or he'll kill them all. And like they have to like wrap their arms. You see them all grab him and try to push him back towards the seat. It was a great scene. The third storyline going on in this movie was Giddy versus Hershey, the 2 camps against each other. And at the end of it, all 3 of them do get melded into like one story, with Meathead and the kids stopping Hershey from blowing up the kids with a grenade. Blake, he spots that alien and goes, aliens, and he runs over there with a grenade, and he's going to put the grenade on the bench and blow up all the kids over there to kill the alien. I thought that was fantastic.
And that's part of what I'm saying. It's just a jumbled mess of what's going on. Like, I can't. Are we focusing on Flash and his little storyline? Are we focusing on the kids? Are we focusing on this? Who's going to win the rights to the lake? It's all just jumbled up, and none of it really has a good conclusion.
100% agree with you to an extent, but let's look at it like this. And this is how I'm putting the optimistic.
You mentioned the intro, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned the intro. The intro is the best part of this movie because you got the bus ride with the fun song. Everybody's going nuts, having a good time on the way to camp. You feel like you're fixing to watch a great summer camp movie. And it's very similar to Meatballs 1. I know you probably don't remember it, but they had a similar song, Are You Ready for the
Are
Summer?
you ready for the summer? I do remember that one.
With Bill Murray and everybody dancing and having a good time. A lot of summer camp movies start off like this. Heavyweight started off like that. I think Ernest may have started off like that. But yeah, but once you get past that intro, it's like we can't decide which direction we want to go. So, and I know I'm interrupting you, but like this Flash character, Ronnie, he gets on the bus as a criminal. He's
Yes.
typical. I'm super anti. I'm a CIT. What's that mean? Counselor in training. Oh,
Kid. Oh, edit.
I'm gonna be mean to the kids this whole time. Does that? And then maybe later, I'm gonna let them down, and then I'm gonna change my ways and help them out. Nope. Or maybe the kids are gonna win him over, and he's gonna change his ways. Nope. I mean, we just get no evolution of character, and I don't like. And that's my point. Like, even in the end, he's supposed to be this badass guy. Like he's known for fighting and stuff. He's losing this fight. If it wasn't for the alien helping him cheat, and why would the alien help him? I mean, the alien sees how Flash treats these kids.
Yeah, but I think Flash came around when he was smoking dope in the cabin, and Meathead come through the wall on him.
What a life lesson! I mean, what a life lesson there, Ronnie. Thank you for bringing that up. Oh, you're smoking dope in the kid's cabin? Let me help you out. You're obviously a great guy.
He gives Meathead a hit off that joint, and then
he floats.
Why is he a dork?
Floats. Guys, this movie sucks. I don't care what Ronnie's about to tell you or put you in the spin zone. This movie sucks.
You just entered the no spin zone. My second bad is Tommy in the wheelchair. Aside from the very beginning of it, when he's in this cool silver bullet type wheelchair where he's racing the school bus and Paul Rubens, after that, he's like everybody else. You don't see him hardly anymore. He comes out of his wheelchair at the end of the movie to attack Hershey and make Hershey drop the grenade, which in turn would have blown more people up. But at the end of it, the reason I'm adding Tommy to this list, at the end of it, everybody's saying goodbye. And Meathead says goodbye. And Meathead goes to leave, and he walks through the door. And for some reason, the kids are trying to get him not to walk through things anymore. So he opens the door at the very end of it. And great puppet in this movie, too, because the arms don't work, which is great. So he has to use his telepathic powers to open the door because they can't get the arms to work. But as he's walking to his spaceship, every one of the kids stand up, including Tommy, and walk to the window to see Meathead off. Now, right now, Blake's thinking, did this happen? And now he's going to have to go back and watch it. Everybody stands up. There's no wheelchair, Blake. Tommy just stands up off the bed and walks over to the window. So I've got a couple of theories about this. One, Meathead cured Tommy's paralysis and they cut that out of the movie. Okay. Two, they filmed all the Meathead scenes with the kids all at the beginning of the shoot. And they didn't put in the fact that Tommy was going to be paralyzed till after they shot the ending of the movie, Goodbye Meathead. And then that's when they added in Tommy was going to be in this jacked up wheelchair that could drive like 60 or 70 miles an hour. But the fact that Tommy gets up at the end of it, walks over to the window and says, bye, Meathead, that's definitely a bad to this movie. It makes zero sense. How could they miss this when they were filming this movie?
Maybe his legs weren't broke, Ronnie.
Here we go.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm just saying maybe that's how he got to camp.
At the very beginning of it, Coach Giddy goes, are you Tommy? And he goes, well, you got a lot of kids in wheelchairs. And Giddy goes, not unfunny. So he's paralyzed. They make a point of showing the bumper sticker on the back of his wheelchair that says,
my don't work.
Edit. Oh, R.I.P. But yeah, I mean, that's my bad right there. And you hit it on the head whenever you were talking earlier. It's like none of these characters ever got a chance to fully develop. We see the Flash, and usually you got your save the cat moment. You're absolutely right. The Flash starts as a criminal. This camp is going to show him how to be a mature adult. He has a relationship with these kids. It changes him, and it changes his heart. It changes his outlook on life. He gets Cheryl. He finds love. And at the end of it, he's a better person because he saved the camp. No, because we don't get hardly any scenes with him and the kids. There's like no strife between the two of them. He tells them to shut up and they say, okay. It's literally when he's smoking dope with a Martian that all the, he makes the comment, I didn't notice this alien around for weeks. And they said, no. And he goes, I guess I wouldn't, would I? And they said, no. And they look at him like that right there. That was the evolution of the character. The second thing is Coach Giddy, Richard Mulligan, a great actor. I mean, that movie where they shove that thing in his ass and he outruns the car in that Ted Danson movie. We got to review that. That's a great movie.
3 Men and a Baby.
But Richard Mulligan walks out of that camp, and the way he walks out of the camp, you're thinking, okay, well, here is our Bill Murray replacement right here. He's going to be great. But he doesn't have a lot of scenes in the movie. The scenes he does have are great scenes. The scene with the guy from Camp Patton, who was also the guy on Saved by the Bell that did the dancing and stuff like that. Those were great scenes. The way he was low key, what's the word I'm looking for? Disgusted by Larroquette when he goes, oh, you say that so fast. And he just like changes his demeanor. Him and Boomer, we ain't brought up the fact that I know, is Boomer on your bad list? The fact that he was like mentally retarded. Edit, and he was the boxer. Hey, yo, Crash, I got more brains in my pinky.
I'm gonna beat him with my brains. That's right. I got more brains in my little finger than I do in my whole head.
Than I do in my head.
I'm glad you brought up Pinky, because that's going to segue to my next thing. Is a minor plot in this movie is Cheryl, played by Kim Richards. Ronnie, you probably remember her as the little girl who got blasted in Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
She is the focus of Flash's attention. Flash wants to hook up with her, but Cheryl reveals to her roommates, her roommate looks real familiar, and I looked her up, and she wasn't in anything.
No, she wasn't, but I'm like you. She looked really
like she was in everything, don't she? She has that look. But anyway,
she should have been in more.
They talk about pinkies as they're getting off the bus in the beginning. Don't let the pinkies get near you or something like that. And obviously they're talking about huge but, and then like 10 minutes later they're talking about dorks.
Yeah.
And you and I've had this conversation. I'm reminiscing right now. We've had this conversation before.
Wolf dork.
About dorks, and they're like, Flash is a dork. And they're like, what do you mean? You know, a dork.
Dork. Edit. You don't know 80s and 90s heartbreak until some female looks at you and goes, get away from me, you dork. And then edit. And then you got to walk away in shame as everybody laughs.
You fat dork son of a
edit. You dork. Edit. That's what you are. And fat.
No good piece of son of a
edit. No, what about you, Dad?
What about you, Flash? What about you?
What about you, Giddy?
Pinky. Don't you tear that dress.
That's so great. It's so great. But yeah, back to their relationship.
The typical, she's into him, but don't know how to show it. And is he into her? I mean,
yes.
He doesn't really act like it till toward the end.
Yeah.
And then
immediately he sees her. Like he knocks out Boomer. He goes to the aerobics class and knocks out Boomer.
But what I meant by that, Ronnie, is cool Flash doesn't make a move. He doesn't go up to her and do anything. In fact, the girl's friend has to come over and invite him to go skinny dipping or whatever because they're trying to get Cheryl to see one before camp ends. And they don't They don't do anything until the last day of summer camp. She pulls him to the back of the bus and gives him a kiss, and that's it.
And she only does that after because after he wins the boxing match, Ogre for some reason rips his dress off of him, and everybody gets to see his edit. And she really wants to make out with him after she's seen his edit. So I guess she wasn't such a weirdo after all.
She's pretty weird.
Oh, the Flash. I guess I should have added an extra bad. The Flash's friend Eddie, when he gets on the bus, hey, Flash the Bash. There's in no world has the guy, the actual actor playing Eddie ever been cool. He wasn't cool in this. He's a geek edit. He was a geek in Pee-wee's Big Adventure when he stole the bike. He was a geek in Let It Ride whenever he asked the chick to marry him. He's been a geek in everything he's ever been in. So to slick his hair back and make him an eye rock in this one and act like he's cool. And I'm even looking, and even though he did have a great scene where he went in there and they was going to give him the Flash, Cheryl, so she could see a huge edit. But the kids did a great prank and they changed the numbers of the cabin. So he goes in and flashes Fanny. And meanwhile, Jamie goes in and tries to molest Cheryl, and they all dive out the window at the same time. I thought that was a great scene.
And then he randomly flashes Jamie.
Yes, that way he could say he flashed somebody. He's horrible in everything he's in. I don't know why I'm being so hard on him right now. He's a dork. He really is a dork.
All right, Ronnie, let's move on to my ugly. I don't think you're going to like this answer because we love this actor, but it's going to be Donald Gibb.
Yeah.
He shows up at the end to be the big nemesis. He's boxing Flash at the end.
Yeah.
And this is peak Donald Gibb. I mean,
this is 1983. You got to figure they filmed this movie in 83.
They filmed it at the same time as Nerds.
It's Nerds. And how horrible. I mean, this is me. I know Donald Gibb is an ugly person. I know I'm interrupting you, but you can get right back to it. How much uglier is Donald Gibb with a beard versus without a beard? In the Nerds, he doesn't have a beard. I didn't think he was that bad. He wasn't gorgeous, but you add a beard to him, he looks like a pure edit. Go ahead.
You said the R word. Yeah, he does look. He looks rough with the beard. And you're right. Clean shaven Ogre on Nerds is not a bad looking guy. But yeah, honestly, I guess it says a lot about this movie that there's not a lot of ugly people to choose from, Ronnie. Even though the movie is a sandwich. The cast is kind of good looking overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I could go Jason Hervey with my ugly because he's in this movie, and I always
Paul Rubens
is an ugly guy. Richard Mulligan, I mean, he's an okay looking guy,
decent looking guy.
Yeah, Boomer, I mean, he's ugly.
He's decent looking. He's strong.
My ugly is going to be the chef. I think his nickname is Butterball. I could be wrong on that, but the chef, the French chef from Camp Sasquatch, is extremely ugly. He's a stupid character. He's always dragging a horse into the back room, so I guess they imply that they're eating a horse.
You want to eat lunch here today, Patton? Or Hershey? No.
Out of your mind? He walks up. They ride those horses, Blake. Hershey and Larroquette ride those horses up to the camp, and it's fantastic. I can't say fantastic enough. I graded it. Fantasy. It's great, okay? But anyway, back to Butterball, or the chef, whatever his name is. At the very beginning of it is very gross. He accidentally spits some liquor into the soup, and then Richard Mulligan, Giddy, comes in and drinks out of it, and that's when he grabs him by the collar and says, "Listen here, you give us some food to eat this summer. I want some fries. I want some hamburgers. I want some hot dogs, okay? Edit. So you're going to give us something to eat, or your fat ass is out of here." It's a great scene.
Yeah, it's really good. I forgot about that one.
Anyway, he's the ugliest person in this movie, Blake.
And it ends with, who's the big strong guy you said? What's his name?
His name's Boomer.
It ends with Boomer carrying a canoe the wrong way down the road, just how it opened.
Boomer, the camp is this way. Boomer!
Boomer, the lake's this way. Comedy. And then we finish with the summer song.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for the summer all year long. Waiting for the summer to sing this song.
Fun fact, 756 kids are molested at camp every year. We didn't even get to the fact that Boomer, the boxer, had the edit beat out of him by a bunch of little kids, and they broke his arm. There was a few other things, but I think we hit the majority of the things you need to know about this movie, Blake. You had a great one. The scenery is great. There's a few good characters in this movie. The story's out there, but are we really looking for a majorly great story when it comes to a summer camp movie? It's fun. It's got a fun song. It's got an alien in it. Enjoy it for what it is. It's a great movie. Go check it out. It's definitely almost in my top 5. Not really.
No comment.
Not really. All right, hit us in the comments. What did you think about Meatballs 2? You guys got to join in. Tell us you're good, you're bad, and you're ugly. Hit the like button. Subscribe if it's the first time you're ever watching this show. And the biggest thing you guys need to do is, some of you learned the other morning at 6:30 in the morning, you need to enable the notification button. You need to hit that bell so you get notified every time that we go live, because our weekly live schedule, it's out the window this summer. Me and Blake could go live at midnight. We could go live at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. We could go live at any time. We're not respecting anything. If we feel like we want to jump on and talk heavyweights, which we're going to do, or jump on and talk Ernest Goes to Camp, or jump on and talk Friday the 13th, or jump on and talk about how big Loomis is, we're going to get on here. So enable notifications. That way you can catch all our content.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, here you go. Patreon. Check out our Patreon. If you can donate whatever amount you want to support the show. We have a YouTube membership as well. We suggest the Patreon is cheaper. So for Blake, I'm Ronnie. We'll see you guys.
Once you rip that dress.